Hey, look at that. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast of America, and live from the WACA studios, this is Good Night. First in the news tonight, Tesla founder and billionaire eccentric Elon Musk had a press briefing about the progress being made on the SpaceX program. Having launched and returned several rockets over the years, Musk held a conference to explain that the day where people can safely and easily travel to Mars, the original goal of SpaceX, is coming very soon. He showed off his new spaceship titled Starship and explained that it could house 100 interplanetary travelers and has made of partly stainless steel. One of the coolest parts about SpaceX rockets is the reusability of some of the shells, and Musk also intends to use the rockets to fly between cities here on Earth. He'll have to be quick though, because the market is getting clogged with NASA, Trump's Space Force, and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. It looks to be a new age space race between governments and billionaire philanthropists. If we're taking bets, my money's on Elon, but you just never know. Bezos could cut his workers' pay even more, and it could get done next year. It's really a toss-up. Now, in our weekly Disney news update, because Disney controls the entertainment news cycle, Sony and Marvel have officially kissed and made up. The drama of the week a couple weeks ago was Spider-Man's Marvel contract running out, and the rights going back to Sony, who controls the character. Marvel was basically renting Peter Parker for their movies and making lots of money for it. But his lease ran out, so Marvel had to negotiate on new terms. It was reported that neither billion-dollar company wanted to make even more money, so they never reached a deal. But just last week, they made up and decided to make lots of money together. So Spider-Man's back in the MCU, Sony gets to keep its dumb spin-off movies with Eminem soundtracks, and both companies are still encroaching on total media control. A recent estimate put Disney at almost 30% ownership of the current media landscape and asked Sony for a 50-50 split in exchange for Spider-Man, but I'm sure Sony is the bad guy here. Now, in crazy weather news, Montana is in a state of emergency after a gigantic snowstorm threw over 4 feet of snow at the state over the weekend, in addition to winds over 30 miles per hour coming off the Rocky Mountains. This weekend, a 2-day record was almost set, as the 20-inch total over Saturday and Sunday is the second highest total ever to be reached in the state. It was also recorded in September, which is why everybody is making even a bigger deal out of this. It's like you have to be crazy to live in Montana during the winter, but I would venture to say it's probably a pretty nice place to live most other seasons. But the poor people who were trying to enjoy a Montana fall just got duped. That's climate change, folks. And speaking of climate change, it's been in the news a lot recently with the climate strikes and UN speeches and such. It can feel a little like doomsday and can get kind of exhausting, let alone tough to really visualize what climate change is doing to our planet, because it's such a big problem. But a recent UN report has been released, and it's terrifying. It puts climate change into such a quantifiable evil. How did they do this? Well, apparently, if the sea levels continue to rise, as they have been, according to the newest UN report, it would make 60 million people in the United States unable to flush their toilets due to the use of septic systems, especially on coastal cities. If that wasn't enough, there's also an increased risk of contamination with the sea level rising. So there you have it. If you weren't, for whatever reason, taking climate change seriously before, here's your reason. Can you imagine not being able to flush your toilet as the rising sea levels come up in the Boston Harbor? But that's what we call a double whammy of ecological catastrophe. In all seriousness though, folks, the UN report is super important and contains a lot of vital information on how climate change is affecting the Earth. That's going to do it for the news this week. Stay tuned. Lucy Burdge, This Week in Music History, and for some bits from our crew celebrating National Coffee Day. And don't go anywhere, because we have an interview with sports reporter Andrew Roberts, in addition to an interview with David and Stacy from Vape Daddy to discuss the recent statewide vaping ban. But before we go to commercial, you might have noticed this dog in one of our commercials. He was even in one of our episodes early in our run. His name is Coda, but unfortunately he passed away. So we here at Good Night want to take this opportunity to honor Coda before we go to commercial. Rest in peace, Coda. You'll be missed.
This is Lucy Burdge with Good Nights This Week in Music History. We begin in 1969 when Creedence Clearwater Revival started a 4-week run at #1 on the US singles chart with Green River. In 1970, Jimi Hendrix was buried in Seattle. Also in 1970, Janis Joplin was found dead at the Landmark Hotel Hollywood after an accidental heroin overdose. In 1976, Jerry Lee Lewis was celebrating his birthday and accidentally shot his bass player, Norman Owens, in the chest. Owens survived, but then he sued Jerry Lee Lewis. In 1977, the body of Elvis Presley was moved from the cemetery where he was buried to Graceland after an unsuccessful attempt was made to steal the coffin. In 1980, Queen started a 3-week run at #1 on the US singles chart with Another One Bites the Dust. In 1984, Prince and the Revolution started a 2-week run at #1 on the US singles chart with Let's Go Crazy. In 1992, Sinead O'Connor ripped up a photograph of Pope John Paul II on SNL, live TV, as a protest over sexual abuse in the Roman Catholic Church. NBC was fined $2.5 million by the FCC for that. And in 1996, a Pearl Jam show in Hartford, Connecticut, ended in a riot when mass fighting broke out among the crowd of over 30,000 people. This has been Lucy Burdge with Good Nights This Week in Music History. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Lucille Burdge for both.
Welcome back to Good Night. I'm really excited about this next interview. We're joined by Andrew Roberts. Hey, Andrew, how are you?
I'm good.
Let's talk a little bit about who Andrew is, because I'm pretty excited about it, because I think he's going to be the future of sports radio and TV in the Boston area. You're pretty much an expert about Boston sports, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Red Sox fan, a Patriots fan. I've loved all the Boston sports teams since I was about 5 years old. My parents got me baseball cards, and from there, my interest in baseball grew, and then I got interested in other sports. Since then, I've started a sports blog, and I've made some connections thanks to the blog that have helped me start to put together a little bit of a sportscasting career.
Cool. So who's your favorite Boston sports athlete?
It would probably be, he's retired now, but David Ortiz. I loved Big Papi when he was playing. Now, a few of my favorites are probably Xander Bogaerts, Julian Edelman, Jason Tatum on the Celtics.
I think you just made some friends back in the studio with that, with the Jason Tatum. What'd you think of the Red Sox season?
It was a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
I think, like, the pitching couldn't get into a good rhythm, and there are a lot of players that did great. I'm very optimistic about the future with Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers, a lot of the guys in the lineup, but I think they might start to rebuild this offseason if they get rid of Mookie Betts or JD Martinez.
All right, so how old are you now, Andrew?
I'm 15, but I will be 16 in just about a week.
So for about 10, 11 years, you've been an expert about Boston sports. Let's go down a little bit about your bio here, and we'll talk a little bit about it. You're a member of the Doug Flutie Foundation for Autism, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You did some work for the Worcester Bravehearts. Okay, that's pretty. You were an intern for Entercom at WEEI, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got your own Boston Sports Mania. Talk to me about what Boston Sports Mania is.
So Boston Sports Mania started out as my sports blog. I'd voice my opinions on sports. That's a lot of my articles still now, but now I've also done some videos, and I put a lot of my sports coverage all around, some of my experiential stuff on there. And
that's pretty impressive at 15.
Yeah, now I have a Twitter for it, I have a YouTube channel, and this event that we have coming up, it's going to be, we're debuting a movie about my high school football team, and we're calling the productions BSM Productions for Boston Sports Mania.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you've got coming up. You've got, what is it, Gonk Knox Football Night?
Yeah, it's Gonk Knox Football Night. It's named after the Algonquin Tomahawks football team. That's my high school in Northborough, and it's a regional school. Northborough and Southborough kids go there. And the last 2 years, I've been doing preseason coverage, Hard Knock style, on their football team. So now we're putting all of the episodes from this season together, and we're going to debut a little bit of a movie at Apex Entertainment on November 25th. It's the Monday before Thanksgiving.
So the Monday before Thanksgiving, November 25th, at the Apex Center in Marlborough, Massachusetts, you're going to be doing the Gonk Knox Football Night fundraiser. And the proceeds are going to benefit who?
So there's two organizations. It's going to be split between the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation, who they've supported me over the years. I won a grant to go on a ski trip, learned to ski through them, and since then I've hosted their 5K. I was honored as a shining star at the Night to Shine Gala, and now they made me their first Flutie Fellow.
Really?
Yeah, so I cover events for them, and they help me through my career a little bit, and now there's other Flutie Fellows that have joined me. There's a photographer, there's a couple runners now, and I'm happy with what the Flutie Foundation has done for me in my career.
So that's really great. So what is your connection with the Flutie Foundation?
So it started back in 2016 when we applied for the grant to learn to ski, and my dad won Dad of the Year back in 2016.
Your dad won Dad of the Year, wow.
Yeah, because they went to the golf tournament after, he went to the golf tournament to receive his award after we went on the ski trip. We learned to ski very quickly in that one weekend. He joined us for a couple of the trails. My mom joined us.
So tell me a little bit, I know all about the Flutie Foundation because I'm a father of an autistic child, but tell the viewing audience a little bit there about what the Flutie Foundation is.
Now, they're an organization, they're out there to help families and individuals with autism live life to the fullest. That's what they go by. They're providing help to organizations that help individuals with autism enjoy life. They endorse sports for special needs. They help with technology that can help kids. And now they're targeting more of a young adult audience, people who are trying to go into the workforce, and that's how their Flutie Fellowship has been born.
So I think the Doug Flutie Foundation is lucky to have such a good representative like you with it. Let's talk a little bit more about the fundraiser, Gonk Knox Football Night, Monday, November 25th, the Monday before Thanksgiving, 6:30 to 10 p.m. at the Apex Center. Another guy from sports radio, Sarge from 98.5 The Sports Hub, is going to be the MC that night. So that's going to be pretty exciting, fun, right?
Yeah.
What else is going to be going on there? There's going to be a raffle and auction?
Yeah, there's going to be raffles, auctions, bowling, food, and as I said, half the proceeds go to the Flutie Foundation. But I got to give a shout out to the Algonquin Boosters. They've really been supportive of the Gonk Knox, and now I'm giving back to them as well, in addition to the Flutie Foundation.
Well, good for you. So you're identifying, in fact, you have autism, but it's not defining you. You're
Yeah.
you're working through it. Let's talk a little bit about what you want to do with your career, because I mean, as you sent me all the stuff, I mean, you've been everywhere. You're somebody pretty important. You've been on Channel 5. You've been on 98.5, the Sports Hub. You're a Flutie fellow. So what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, I'm looking to go anywhere in sports broadcasting. I want to be able to talk sports or write about sports for a living. I think some of the things over the years I've gotten different experiences. I've enjoyed sports talk radio a lot. I've enjoyed opinion writing. Like, I'll write season predictions for baseball and football every year. Sometimes basketball also, a little bit of hockey. So I like to voice my opinions about sports, and I like doing research on the teams that can help back those up.
All right, so give out your address so people can learn more about you. Like, give out your blog and everything like that.
So my blog, you can find it. It's called Boston Sports Mania, as I said earlier. The link is andrewr1008.wordpress.com. And if you look up Boston Sports Mania, it's one of the first things that shows up as well. You can even look up my name, say sports reporter Andrew Roberts, and you may find me.
Fantastic. Now, do you do anything with the Patriots or anything like that?
Now, the Patriots, I had an experience so I did a 2-week sportscasting course at Dean College, and it was instructed by John Rook, who's the public address voice of the Patriots. So I got a tour at Gillette Stadium. We went in the Patriots studio, and I was on John Rook's show with him, Patriots Playbook. I was on for a 20-minute segment. They talked about the NFL schedule expansion proposal, and they had other kids in the camp go on to talk about the undrafted rookies. They had other people go on to talk about replacing Gronk. So we went on in the middle of the summer, heading into training camp to John Rook's show. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, John's a nice man. He's a very, very nice man. Yeah, good man. So, you think Gronk's coming back?
My bet is that he's going to take this year off to kind of get in the right physical state to play and even mental state to play. Maybe he'll come back next year. Maybe he won't. I think it's going to be a year-to-year thing where
I think
he decides.
He just broke Tom Brady's heart. I think Tom Brady wants him to come back.
Yeah, but my bet is probably next year he'll come back.
All right, we're going to wrap up the interview. Tell us once again about Gronk Knox. Tell us what we need to know.
Yeah. So, as we've said, it's going to be 6:30 to 10 p.m. on the 25th, and we have a lot of great raffle and auction items that you can check out. We have we just picked up today from the Bruins Foundation. They gave us a Winter Classic photo. It was framed. It was blown up. It was signed by a lot of Bruins players, and they even have a Bruins logo kind of marked in the background a little bit. If you look at it at an angle, you can see it. We have signed jerseys also. We have, we're raffling off some gift certificates to restaurants. We have Uno's Pizzeria. We might have Chipotle. We might have Chins and Wellesley. That's a place we go to a lot, so we talk to them about.
Well, we'll run the link on it
raffles.
so everybody can know, but it sounds like the place to be on Monday, November 25th from 6:30 to 10 at the Apex Center.
Yeah.
You are a very impressive young man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And I think you got a strong future in sports broadcasting.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you.
All right. That's Andrew Roberts. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right here on Good Night.
So I've just been informed that yesterday, as of the time of filming this, was National Coffee Day. Is that true, Todd?
It was. To anybody out there who's a coffee drinker, you know that we can't survive without this stuff.
Right, so I hear. I am a Red Bull drinker. I'm an energy drink drinker. I hate coffee with a burning, undying passion of 1,000 suns. So what are we doing today, Todd?
So we're going to taste test different coffees from around our area. Anything from like instant coffee to gas station coffee and, higher end chains.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be great.
yeah, fun stuff going on.
Well, let's get to it.
All right, so we've got our 5 different cups of coffee here. The Speedway, I'm not sure what to say other than it was there. It's a gas station coffee, so we'll see how that goes. A Mick Cafe, which is supposed to be made with 100% Arabica beans. A Dunkin' Coffee, which I don't know what it's made with, but we'll see. Everybody loves it. Black Rifle Coffee, which is actually from a nice little company where about 50% of the profits go to veterans of law enforcement or, military veterans. So that's kind of a nice little bonus. And then the last one is a Starbucks instant coffee. Do I need to get nice and close for that? Phantom Gourmet style. So let's get down to it. All right, Connor, in front of you, you have 5 different coffees. They have been randomized, so you don't know which is which. You probably don't care because you are the one that doesn't like coffee.
I hate coffee so much.
So at the bottom of each cup is which one it is. So we'll discover at the end which one, and for the viewers at home, there will be a graphic below each of the cups. Connor's being a champ, though.
Oh, it's not terrible. That one's awful. That one just tastes like water. Tastes like shitty water. That one's not so bad, actually.
Your second favorite, and your favorite was McDonald's coffee. You like McDonald's coffee the most out of all of them.
Oh God, I've learned something about myself that I never thought before. I'll see you in the bathroom. All right, Todd.
I'm gonna go
Go for it, my guy.
hat backwards. That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
That one's strong,
Yeah.
but good. Okay. That one's a no.
No bueno on that one.
No bueno on that one. That one was alright. I could just tell right away that was so watery, the Speedway one.
Yeah.
That was just,
Yeah.
no. That was gross. That was bad. That was by far the worst.
Number 1. Okay. Not bad. Not so good. I could drink that. A little watered down. Well, number 1 I think is the best. Number 2 is the worst, I think. Welcome back to Good Night. This next segment is going to be, probably seen a lot in the news lately. Governor Baker last week banned vaping sales in the state of Massachusetts, in a total ban. And I think it came as a surprise to a lot of vape shop owners. And to talk about it, we have 2 owners from Vape Daddies here tonight. David and Stacy are joining us here on Good Night. Let's talk a little bit about Governor Baker's ban on vaping. Now, you own a vape shop.
We own 4 vape
We own
shops.
4
Four vape shops that essentially now are they
Closed.
out of business?
They're closed.
They're closed
Right.
and,
for the next 4 months.
Right, which basically means they're out of business.
Okay.
We're planning on closing 3 of them and possibly trying to keep 1 open and see what happens at the end of 4 months. But we're not really optimistic that much is going to change in 4 months.
Okay. Are you being told anything by the state what's going to change, or possibly what they're investigating?
No, I mean, they've basically, our understanding is, given that there have been, and I don't know what the number is across the country, but I think it's 34 states and 500 plus cases of individuals suffering acute respiratory problems. I believe the governor and his health department decided that they did not want to take any chances, not knowing what definitively is causing these people to go to the hospital. The CDC reported yesterday 77% of the cases of the 9 folks that have died, there's for 77% of those cases, so what's that? I don't know, 7 cases,
No,
six and a half
It's actually
cases.
77% of all of the illnesses that have
Okay.
been diagnosed so far
Okay.
have been positively tied to people who are vaping tainted marijuana cartridges.
THC cartridges.
There's no evidence yet that links any of the illnesses to vaping nicotine products. There's not one shred of evidence that links it right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
You really have two things going on, two big situations that are happening simultaneously. And the first is there's been growing concern about the epidemic of teen vaping. And we share that concern. We're a 21 plus store, and between us, David and I have 8 children. And so we obviously don't think anybody who's not a smoker, an ex-smoker over the age of 21, should be vaping.
Okay.
So there's that situation. And as a response to the epidemic of teen vaping, many politicians have recommended banning flavors. That the recommendation is based on the premise that children who might otherwise not try smoking would be more likely to try vaping because it's flavor and it tastes good. And we totally understand that. The other situation is these pulmonary illnesses that have cropped up recently and the deaths, which are horrible, tragic.
Sure.
But increasingly, that's appearing to be linked to vaping THC, black market THC cartridges.
Right, so they're not, these cartridges were not purchased in a dispensary for those states that sell them legally. In the case of Massachusetts, you can buy recreational marijuana. Many people, until marijuana went legal, were simply, seeing a doctor, getting legal approval, and then using marijuana products to help them with pain, to spur on appetite, etc. And these cartridges, these aren't the cartridges that people are getting sick from. The cartridges from dispensaries go through elaborate testing. They know where the marijuana was grown. They know who processed it. There are lot numbers, etc. Unfortunately, people buy off the black market, and apparently these cartridges were thickened.
With vitamin E.
With vitamin E. The liquid didn't match the look of a THC cartridge that was produced correctly. So the black market said, well, let's just thicken it with, how's vitamin E? Well, vitamin E is great for topical application and for ingestion. Anyone in the know knows vitamin E is an oil, and that will give you pneumonia pretty quick. Well, it's not water soluble, so it messes your lungs up. And then the complications set in from there. And that appears to be what the majority of these cases are. So our concern is
that the general public has equated the pulmonary illnesses with vaping. And that leads people to believe that vaping is a bad thing.
Yeah,
And we are here to say that it is vape. If you are an adult smoker who has tried
the gum and the patch
and
and
the
Chantix
patches
and had no success, you might want to try vaping.
because it's twice as effective as any of the FDA-approved cessation devices on the market now. And you can argue numbers either way. You can say, well, we still don't know that vaping is completely safe. And
The flip
what
side
we
is-
do know is that it's 95% safer than smoking.
Right, and I like
Okay.
to say
And I think
95%
everybody
less
would agree.
dangerous.
Right.
What we do know, and I thought you were going to say this, is 480,000 Americans die every year from smoking-related illness. So during the time that these unfortunate 500 or so people have gotten sick, I think the number is
10.
58,000 Americans have died. 500 ill, okay. 58,000 Americans have died. Why are they not banning cigarettes?
I think it's a fair question. It's a very fair question. Because what I'm excited, because we talked a little bit about offline about my public health background, and to hear two responsible business owners come into our studio and say, listen, we don't support under 21 smoking. That's, I think, is a very important statement to hear from a business owner.
Absolutely.
So, as I was talking to people even tonight in anticipation of this video, this isn't about the under 21 because nobody should be buying
Correct.
vape product in any of your stores.
Correct.
Under 21. This is legal, hopefully semi-intelligent people coming
Right.
into your store making life choices.
Right.
If I go to McDonald's and eat McDonald's late at night is, that's
The
a
food
debate as
police
well.
are not showing up
The
and
food-
slapping your hand.
So to say that the kids, no vape shop should be selling to kids anyway,
No.
period, end of story. And you
And-
guys have already said it tonight. So I
and
think it's
it's-
an interesting point.
It's our estimation. I mean, we had 4 stores. We trained our employees who went through rigorous training, and they signed paperwork that said, if you sell to underage, if you fail to card to 27, if you vape in the store, any of these offenses, okay, you're fired that day. And they all agreed to it, and we got 1 citation in 6 years from the town of Framingham. And
And that
the
was
individual, get this one, actually it wasn't from Framingham, it was a federal agent who came in because the municipalities check us, shop us quarterly, the state shops us quarterly, and the Fed shop us quarterly. Okay, that's their right, and we agreed to it. And Fed came in, and the guy was 25 years old. Well, we didn't card him. He should have been carded because he looked less than 27. We fired the guy. And I said to him, I'm sorry to do this, but if I let you go, there's no teeth in our rules, and we're going to have more problems. And you know what? This is just business. I mean,
Right.
whether I agree with the age thing or not, it's the law.
Right.
So
I think
we
that-
did a really good job over the years, and our guys know it. Don't mess with Stacy and David because I don't want to lose my job. And I think many of the vape stores honored those rules and made sure to abide by them. And, not to pick on convenience stores and gas stations, but we really treated the vape as a smoking cessation device. If you go into the average convenience store, which has 3,000 products on its shelf, do you think that the harried salesman behind the counter knows anything about vapes? Probably the same amount as they know about snuff and Marlboro.
Right.
How can they know about
So
all
you
this
guys
stuff?
are the experts.
We are the
Right,
experts.
right.
We are the
Yeah.
experts.
And we would talk people out of vaping. Our guys were trained. If you came in, John, and you said, thinking about vaping, really? Okay, why? What are you trying to achieve? I've tried the gum, the patch, Chantix. I can't quit. I've tried it. Maybe you want to try vaping. Can we ask you a bunch of questions? I've spent an hour with people to
And
get them to that
also-
point.
Right.
But if you come in and you say, I don't know, it just looks like fun. What do you mean? You don't smoke cigarettes? No. You're not addicted to nicotine? No.
Like,
No. You don't want to buy this.
Right.
We've talked so many people out of, heavy-duty nicotine systems like the Juul. You don't want a Juul.
You don't want to be addicted to nicotine.
You smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes a month when you go to a party. You start with the Juul, you are going to be severely addicted. And boy, you're going to find out how hard nicotine addiction hits
See,
and
the-
how hard it is to stop.
The thing that I think a lot of people don't realize about the Juul is that part of what made it so unique is that they developed a new way of processing the liquid so they could deliver much higher levels of nicotine than most of the products that were
Yeah,
sold at the
than-
time.
This is Dinner Lady Lemon Tart in an open system. Okay, so I refill this when I want. It has 3 milligrams of nicotine in it. the lowest level, if I had a Juul here, the lowest level pod, closed pod you can get, is 30 milligrams.
So 10 times as strong.
It's 10 times
times.
stronger, and their highest level is 50 milligrams. So while this produces a gigantic flavorful hit, the Juul produces a much smaller hit, but a much more heavy hitting hit. But they figured out, to Stacy's point, they figured out how to smooth out that hit so it doesn't make you cough. You can hit a Juul at 50 and it won't make you cough. And so you're thinking, wow, this is great. You know, I'm a kid, I'm having a drink, having a beer at a party, and this will just add to my buzz. And I think that the stealthy nature of the device and the fact that if you're vaping mango, who's going to think you're smoking?
Like your parents would never know you're smoking
Right.
because
Yeah.
the biggest, the end result of Governor Baker's ban is really going to be to push people to the black market.
I was going to bring that point up. So
And,
yeah.
and
Or
also,
or back
I'm
to smoking.
and also, I
It's
am
crazy.
extremely interested in, I really want to learn what happens to the sale of cigarettes post 9/23.
24.
24?
24th,
23, 24,
yeah.
right. Because
I can tell you right now,
I'm-
I want to see the numbers too. They've skyrocketed. We took our headquarters is our Newton store. And
Well, let me set the
Yeah.
table here just a
Go
little
ahead,
bit.
go right ahead.
We're speaking with David and Stacy, the owners of Vape Daddy. You have 4 stores, and because we're on the World Wide Web, tell us where your 4 stores were.
well, we had a store in Norwood, was our
Norwood,
second,
Massachusetts.
Norwood, Mass, our second largest store. And the health department decided that they wanted to ban flavors.
Okay.
We said, you're kidding. And they went ahead and
Ban all flavors or just
All
wintergreen,
flavors.
spearmint?
No,
and-
all
no,
flavors.
all
All
flavors.
Okay,
So
interesting.
we
and many of the municipalities in Massachusetts have banned flavors.
160 municipalities, to our count, have banned flavors. Okay, butterscotch.
But the vast majority of them have excluded vape stores from
Why?
the ban.
Because they've been shopping these stores. They know they don't sell to underage, and they've, you know, and customers have talked to them and said, I've never felt better now that I'm off of cigarettes.
And so,
Only 3 of those 160 have decided not to exclude those stores, and Norwood was one. So when we found out, we said to the chairman, we'd like to come in and meet with you. No, I've made my decision. She would not see us. So we were
the
thinking,
decision was made
okay, well, we can't. Tell them, we had 140 flavors at that point.
Right.
140, and they start relatively high in nicotine, but they all go down to 0. Why? So that you can come in, John, if you were smoking a pack of Marlboro Reds a day, we would test you out on different levels and say, look, we'd like to see you start on the higher end, vape it for a bit, work your way down, 24, 18, 12 milligrams, 6, 3, 0. Once you get down to 0, you're no longer addicted.
Right.
You might be psychologically addicted to hand to mouth,
Routine,
but
yeah.
physiologically you're not. So we you know, we're a different sort of operation. Norwood didn't see it our way, and we ended up selling, this is ironic, our license to a smoke shop.
and no, 2
Because
weeks ago.
if we had closed it,
2 weeks ago.
9/11,
2 weeks ago.
you know, on 9/11 we closed, and if we had sold that license, or if we had just closed, the license would have disappeared forever.
Right.
So we were approached by a couple businessmen who said, we want to open up a smoke shop, you know, and we did the deal. So
And of
Norwood's
course, the
closed.
irony is that the vape shop is replaced by a
the
smoke shop.
selling cigarettes.
So a couple questions, because we never have enough time here on Good Night. The 4-month ban is in place by Governor Charlie Baker. But the simple question I don't think you see a lot in the media, your rent's still due, right? You still have a lease, you still got to pay your rent, right? What happens to your inventory? What's the shelf life of vape?
Excellent question.
Yeah.
First of all, we have leases on our stores. Secondly, we have employees. We had
Well,
8 employees.
right.
We've let go
7.
7 of them.
With the thought caveat that maybe if things
Maybe they'll
work
come
out in
back?
4 months, you can come back?
Of
maybe?
course,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean,
Honestly, I think the federal government has completely boggled this whole situation with the the PTMT, whatever.
But I guess my naive question to you, and I'm not asking you to put them on the spot, it'll be John Featherston's word. Juul did you guys no favor.
Juul is the
you are-
problem.
Juul is.
that's the
just-
understatement
Juul
Okay.
of the century.
destroyed this industry.
They are the.
I'm not
they,
often understated, so I mean,
They're-
I
they
think
just-
They
Juul
are,
did you guys the
they
greatest.
are
They
the
destroyed the
ultimate
industry.
disruptor.
Right.
Because had they not entered the market, you would not have had a teenage epidemic of vaping.
Right.
100%. And if you hadn't had a teenage epidemic of vaping, nobody would have really been looking at vaping. And
I mean, you might still have had the problem with tainted THC cartridges. That's just underground. That's people who want to sell drugs and not pay sales tax, not pay anything, and sell to anybody who will buy them.
but the thing is that what Governor Baker did was not only ban the flavors, he banned all vaping liquid and all vape devices.
Right.
So the hardware. So our sales pretty much were 60% juices, 40% hardware, and all the accessories that you need to be a vapor.
Right.
And of the juices, 90% of the, and these were all sold to 21 plus, 90% of the juices were flavored juices.
Right.
Well, let's talk about that because we're running out a little bit of time here.
Sure.
When people hear the word black market,
Right.
they get something in their head. And I'll say it as the old man here. Where are the kids getting this on the black market? Is this, I mean,
Well,
is this Amazon?
I
Is this
think
eBay?
that
Is this the dealer down the street?
Well, no.
What is the
if
black
they were
market?
buying them off of Amazon, I mean, you can't sell THC.
No, it's
on
the
Amazon.
dealer down the street.
Yeah.
It's a dealer down
Yeah,
the street.
it's somebody who says, hey, it's not that hard to take marijuana flower and add chemicals, boil it down, synthesize it, and wow, a capsule that I can sell to you for $140. It's a tank. Basically, it's a really skinny tank that fits on a battery. There you go. You're ready to get high.
So what are you guys going to do for the next 3 months and 3 weeks?
Well,
what are
we
you
were,
guys gonna do?
we were actually thinking about maybe getting jobs here at WACA.
We're always looking for good help. We're always looking for good help. No, but seriously, I mean, you've got to pay a bill,
it
and
is-
you've got, I would
Well,
imagine,
it
a
is
substantial amount of money invested in your company.
We're facing an existential crisis.
I just turned 60.
I'm a little bit over. And fortunately, we don't have debt.
Never did.
We don't have debt in the company. We do have probably $80,000 worth of inventory.
That we can't sell.
And what's the shelf life on that? I don't think we answered that.
Hardware is irrelevant, except that
The technology
the
changes.
technology is going to continue to change. So 4
So
months
the-
from now, people
Our
aren't going to
hardware
want
is
what
not
we-
going to be,
Okay.
like 80% of it is going to be no longer.
Old school.
Yeah, it's going to be old school.
All right, we're getting the wrap up here, but give us your closing thoughts on the controversy.
That's a tough one. I'm hoping there are a number of lawsuits out there, but one of the big vaping associations, the American Vaping Association and Vaping Technology Association, sued the governor of New York, tried to get an injunction that was filed on the 25th that was turned down yesterday or today.
I think the big takeaway is that the people who are getting hurt the most,
Are
forget
the
the
adults.
owners and the employees. It is honestly
It's the vapors.
all of the hundreds of thousands of ex-smokers who had happily
Kick the habit.
kicked the habit and were vaping.
I've spoken to no less than 25 people in the last week who were said, dude, I bought a pack, I'm
Yeah.
smoking.
Like it's so easy.
Going back to regular
Oh, they already
Right.
went back.
combustible
The
cigarettes.
next day I had people calling me.
Right.
I spoke to 5 people on Wednesday who were like, I'm calling you, I started smoking again. And if the black market for e-liquid happens, and I said this on Channel 5 or Channel 7, I said, now the governor is going to see the death toll take off like crazy because they're going to be making bathtub e-liquid and you have no idea what's in it. Now it's being manufactured by big firms with clean rooms, with specific.
Who have to have ingredient listings.
Yeah, I mean,
Who have to
now
have filed
it's
with
going to be like
FDA.
bathtub gin.
Well, David and Stacy from Vape Daddies, thanks for coming in and joining. Just for clarity for the viewing audience, we did reach out to the governor's office and invited
Well,
him on tonight. We did not get a response
that's
back,
too
but
bad.
we did get. So I don't think the story's far from over. So hopefully we can have you guys
Hopefully, and I just want to make a shout out to my main man, Marco.
back. Main man Marco. There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
He's a-
Marco, you got a shout out
All
right here on Good
ah,
Night.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We're going to take
thank
a
you.
quick break. We'll be right back.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
You guys did great. Thank you. That's going to do it for another edition of Good Nights. I want to thank Andrew Roberts, Lucy Burdge for joining us here for This Week in Music History. Andrew Roberts, and don't forget about his fundraiser. We'll run that. And I thought it was an interesting interview with Vape Daddy owners about the vaping situation. We'll be back again next Monday with a new edition of Good Night. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good week.